Yamunatiravanasya Yamunatiravanasya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihara Gopijana Balava Girivaradhari Gopijana Balava Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Prajajananandana Yashodanandana Prajajanarandana Yamunatiravanasya Yamunatiravanasya Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanani. Okay, what's this sloka? What chapter? Huh? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udire. Text 27, chapter 12, third canto. Jayaya Kardamo Jagye Devahutya Pati Prabhu Manaso Dehatas Chedam Jagye Vishwakrito Jagat Jayaya Kardamo Jagye Devahutya Pati Prabhu Manaso Dehatas Jagye Vishwa Krito Jagat Jaya Chaya Kardamo Jagye Devahutya Pati Prabhu Manaso Dehatas Jagye Vishwa Krito Jagat. Someone else. That's it. Chayaya, by the shadow, Kardama, Kardama Muni, Jagye, became manifested. Jayaya, Devahutya, Devahuti, Pati, husband, Prabhu, the master, Manasa, from the mind, Dehata, from the body, Cha, also, Idam, this, Jagye, development, Vishwa, the universe, Krita, of the creator, Jagat, cosmic manifestation. Sage Kardama, husband of the great Devahuti, was manifested from the shadow of Brahma. Thus all become manifested from either the body or the mind of Brahma. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Although one of the three modes of material nature is always prominent, they are never represented unalloyed by one another. Even in the most prominent existence of the two lower qualities, the mode of passion and ignorance, there is sometimes a tinge of the mode of goodness. Therefore, all the sons generated from the body or mind of Brahma were in the mode of passion and ignorance. But some of them, like Kardama, were born in the mode of goodness. Narada was born in the transcendental state of Brahma. Om Gana Timirandasya Ganangana Shalakaya Chaksun Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sadrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitam Scha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Goratrishe Namaha Panchatatmakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhakta Bhataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shakti Kam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Okay, thank you, whoever is attending. And if anybody's in YouTube land or Facebook land or the kitchen, because we were talking about the time factor a while back, that chapter, I wanted to show this picture. I don't know how to get it up there, but you can all see it anyway. If you want to see how time is working, this was about 1992 or 3 or something like that. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. We were young once. The young people don't believe that, they think you don't understand. I was about 35 or something like that. I wanted to put it there so people could see it. Maybe they can see it. Anyway, that was in Tokyo. And somehow or other, Kavichandra Swami came through and Radhanath Swami at the same time, both of them just for a couple of days. And at that time, Radhanath Swami was affiliated with New Vrindavan and was not welcome in temples of ISKCON. I didn't know about that because we were very isolated. So we greeted him and it was very nice. We had a kirtan in the Tokyo. There's one street on Sunday. I don't know, they close it for cars. All kinds of crazy things going on there. We would go there every Sunday, but nobody paid much attention to it. But when he was leading kirtan, we got a big crowd. Shakti. So Brahma was created without a mother, right? So he's called Aja, also unborn. I don't think he was ever a baby, right? Shiva either, but in India, find pictures of baby Shiva because they want to compete with Krishna or something. So they have these pictures of little baby Shiva laying in the snow and stuff. But, and in Brahma's first creation, the Prajapatis and different things, they also, there was no mother. He just, from his mind, it says here from his shadow, I hadn't noticed that before, from his body, and most of them were created in the mode of passion and ignorance. But some were, they were the sages, the 7 rishis were created from his mind. But then Narada was created by his intelligence. He was thinking we need to have one person that's only preaching bhakti in the universe. And then came Narada. None of them were babies ever. They all live for the whole lifetime of Brahma, right? So we can't, scientists are thinking they can do something like that, create life, but they haven't done it yet. There was a big presentation some years ago, creating life in the test tube. Anybody remember that one? cover of Time magazine is a test tube with, you can see inside this test tube some little embryo thing. But then all they did was take the semen, the seed from a man and the egg from a woman, and put them together in the test tube and then put it back in a woman. They didn't create the life. They haven't, that was something Prabhupada was happy when devotees asked these scientists, if I gave you all these chemicals that you say created life, could you make life? And Prabhupada bragged about that one, Damodar Maharaj, and the scientist said no. And then after that, his lectures were not attended so much at that convention. But they keep talking like that, They want to be God. They don't want to admit there's a God, but they want to be God. We want to be the proprietor. We want to be the controller. We want to be the center of attention. We want to create everything. So intelligent people understand that everything is God's creation. I was thinking when we went to New Vrindavan, and I was thinking it's so easy to understand that God, Krishna, created everything here. All these trees and valleys and, weather, and, you can easily think no human being could create this. In the city, it's easy to get bewildered and forget that Krishna created it. And I just heard at morning walk, and somebody was saying that very thing. Prabhupada said, well, God created the city also. Where did they get the wood and the sand and the steel and everything to build all this? They didn't create that. They just put it together. Just like any engineer, any carpenter. You can give the carpenter, we can get these things from Amazon in a box, and then somebody puts it together, and we have a bunk bed, or we have shelves, and right? You don't create them, but you can think afterward, you feel like, I did that, and you did it. You did put it together, but you didn't create it. Someone else designed the whole thing. But where did they get the intelligence to do that? It's all coming from Krishna. So we can not be that kind of creators. So it just goes on and on. So there's no pure modes of nature anymore. Everything is mixed. And Bhagavad Gita says they're always competing. Sometimes passion dominates. We experience that in our lives, in our mind especially. And we have to learn to control it. And conquering the mind is difficult. Arjuna is saying it's very difficult. You were talking yesterday, right? To conquer the mind. And Krishna agrees, it's true, but it can be done. And Prabhupada gave the best method to control the mind is what? Yeah, especially he said to think about how to spread the chanting of the holy name, the specific. But chanting is quite well known. A devotee on the morning walk was saying, Prabhupada, I have difficulty controlling my mind when I chant. And Prabhupada kept kind of going, what? And people would think he didn't hear. Finally, they said, Prabhupada, he has difficulty controlling his mind. Prabhupada said, oh, no, what does the mind have to do with it? You chant with the tongue, you hear with the ear, then your mind will be controlled. It's so simple, but because we're not so simple, it's sometimes hard to apply these things. So Lord Chaitanya gave us everything. By ourselves, things are difficult. To what he was telling me yesterday, he has trouble with the japa. Now this devotee he's very good. He's the only brahmachari in Japan. He's been a brahmachari for 30 years or more. But he likes to be alone. He's always going off by himself to Sankirtan. Even when we had a lot of other brahmacharis, he would go off by himself. And now whenever we have a Zoom class, he's in his car. He's always in the car. And said, yeah, when you, and another devotee was saying, she trying to do nirjala fasting or something. She said when she was with devotees and they're very busy serving and they don't feel any fatigue and don't feel any difficulty fasting. But if she's home alone, then it's all you think about is, oh, I'm tired, I need to eat, I'm weak, I can't do anything. So same thing, if we're always alone, we're always trying to chant alone, do everything alone. It's not easy because the mind is so distracted. But that's why sadhu sangha, sarva shastra koi. All the scriptures say that sadhu sangha is great. Lava matra sadhu sangha. 1/13 of a second, right? One lava. It's quite a small bit. I don't think you can click your watch even in 1 second, but that much association with a devotee will sarva siddhi hoy is perfection. So it's not easy to calculate that or understand it. It requires faith. So devotees that have faith, they go out, they chant the holy name, and people get a few seconds. They hear a few, if they're walking by, even fast, something hits their eardrums. Doesn't always register in their conscious mind because they're very distracted. We've had people, that have been walking by a Harinam party for years, and finally they ask, like, what are you doing? And they hadn't really thought about it. But finally it sunk in, The same thing with the books. Sometimes people say, well, I've talked to so many of you, but okay, I'll get it from you, because they got purified. They rejected devotees so many times. But they have to start thinking about Krishna little by little, little drop, even one drop of devotional service, even if they just look at the devotees or they just look at the book or probably touch the book, they get so much benefit. So it takes faith that, the world is in such condition. I was talking to Ramaswara Prabhu yesterday, and he was all excited. He said, this is the best time ever to preach, and everything's so crazy, and all these material solutions, nothing's ever worked. They know, if everybody knows, nothing's going to work. You're going to conquer death by vaccinations, right? No, you might conquer a particular disease, maybe, but there's so many other diseases that we don't know. Krishna can just, the body is an abode of disease, and according to our karma and different conditions we live in, and diseases come out. And as the world gets more corrupted and more crazy, when Yudhishthira found that Kali beating the cow, that was just one. Now it's just an ordinary thing. Even Brijbasis are beating cows, right? Sometimes treating them, abandoning them, just leaving them. So it's Kali Yuga, and it's spreading everywhere. Everywhere is all the sinful activities. It's so easy to access. So we want to make the Harinam, we want to make the holy name, the Bhagavad Gita easy, and that's being done. Many people, I don't want a book, I'll look it up online. Hopefully they will, but some people take a picture of it and then they go looking for it. They don't read books anymore. But reading online for long periods of time is a little difficult sometimes on the eyes. But Krishna has arranged all this technology, so there's audio books and devotees speaking all over the internet, kirtan everywhere. So it's easy. People can find it, and we want to make it more and more available so that it'll just pop up. Some devotees, once they they made a pop-up that said, call out Gauranga and be happy. And somehow they got all the emails of different countries and sent it out. People open their computer, it pops up. So many things we can do. And to do that, we need our own spiritual strength. Now we have all these new people coming, so they need to be trained. And we need to be good examples, of perpetual students. Everyone says that's trying to advance in anything. They're always studying about their craft or whatever it is, their business is. These big athletes, after the game, they watch the video to study, what they did right or wrong. They have the coach with them, pointing out, you did this, you should have done that. And they're always trying to improve and practice so much. So we need to practice serving devotees. 2 simple things. Lord Chaitanya said, Sadhu Vaishnav Seva Nama Sankirtan Dui Pabe Shigre Shri Krishna Charan. It's basically the same verses that I found 3 times in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I heard Radhanath Swami saying 2 things. He said, chant Hare Krishna and don't criticize anyone. Lord Chaitanya said that also. So Vaishnav Seva, it puts first, then Nama Sankirtan. Serve the devotees. Serve means what? What does Seva mean? It's not just ordinary, right? Like we have service industries, hotels, restaurants, they're serving you, but is it seva? Huh? Is it? In the restaurant? Yeah, that kind of service, when it's their job. It's not exactly seva, like Vaishnav seva or Guru seva or something. It means you're really looking up to that person. You're serving because you feel that they're better than you and they need it, not that because it's your job, and you do it nicely because they'll give you a tip or something. So Vaishnav seva, very important. Serve the devotees. And of course, at Mahabhagavat, like Prabhupada, I think everyone's a devotee. So that Prabhupada, quite famous class, I think it was in Sweden. He was talking about first class, second class people. And so one student, I don't know if he was being sarcastic or he said, so I see you're a first class person. And so Prabhupada said, no, I am 10th class. I am the servant of everyone. And that calmed down the audience. He wasn't trying to say, I'm first class and you're all down, And even when you say that in real Varnashram, it doesn't mean necessarily that the others are not necessary. The Brahmanas need carpenters and they need, all the other people. And they need students. They need someone to build their altars and make their paraphernalia and, they in their house, everybody works together. They created the Kshatriyas to protect the Brahmana. So everyone is important, all the different parts of the machine. One small part, not working can really affect everything. Like if you have a marching army and someone is crippled and falls down and everyone has to stop for that person or something, it screws up everything. Anyway, this was BBT work, but some books came and some of the pages were upside down. So the devotees were really complaining about the BBT manager, who had nothing to do with it. It's a printer's error. And Brahma Muhurta was explaining it. one Christmas marathon, they had ordered so many books for all over Europe. And they get from this gigantic press that just pumps them out, and so the books were all delivered. And then they got calls that there's some big mistakes in all these books, and they called the printer, and they went through their whole machine and found out one little part broke or something, that they didn't detect it, and because of that, books came out upside down or printed all backwards, or one little part that you could hardly see. So if you fix it, it has to be there, otherwise the machine. So all devotees are very important. Every little service we're doing. Sometimes it's hard to understand it, at least to think like himself. I don't think, what is my use? If I was never been here, I don't think nobody would have noticed, if I never would have been, the movement goes on because Krishna is doing everything. But Krishna gives credit to every little effort we make. So we have a big mission here in the whole world. New York is, Prabhupada did said it's the most important project. I think he said that about a few other places also. He put a lot, he started everything in New York. We meet one guy every once in a while on Harinam. He's a tour driver. And he says, I always take people and show them this is where the Hare Krishna started. But he's talking about Tompkins Square Park. I said, would you ever go to 26th Avenue? He didn't know about it. I met the guy again recently, and he still wasn't going to 26th. I said, you should take him to 20. That's, the first temple. But he does take him to Tompkins Square Park and show him this is where the Hare Krishna started. So, people are aware of it. It's something important. It's what can really affect the change in the world. We have a real solution for the problems, but people don't like the solution very much because for them it's great tapasya to give up the sinful activities. But if we can get people chanting the holy name, they get purified. That's why we have festivals. That's why we're having Rath Yatra. It's a huge endeavor. Right, Hari? And lots of money. So people question, why are you doing this, But we can chant anyway, without such endeavor. But we can have a small house somewhere, but like Prabhupada building this huge Mayapur, said, he said, I was much happier in the hut there, but nobody will come. But they want to see success. They want to see something. So we have the Rath Yatra. And even when we give people the invitation, they get excited about that. Yeah, we'll be all, one guy yesterday said, from 12 to 7? Wow, I'll come for sure. And you tell them, free food and the whole park is Hare Krishna. And wow, that sounds good, That's why we do it. We want to do it all over the world. Now the world is coming back to life. Things change. In Indonesia, they just had a Rath Yatra. In this Rath Yatra, they joined this famous flower parade. I've been on it. It's in one city, a Muslim place. And it has about 75 floats, really big. They're all completely flowers. Like everything has to be flowers, gigantic floats, incredible designs, all different flowers. So our Rath Yatra card has to also be completely covered with flower. But the whole city is out, lining the side of the road for it takes a couple, 2 or 3 hours. And they tell us, be sure to bring those dancing girls, that dance in front of the cart and the kirtan. And everybody's taking movies, everybody, even me, all these Muslims, they can, oh, come here, and they take a picture. Even the policemen, they get all excited by this whole atmosphere. So that's why we do these things. It's also a big endeavor. Devotees have to travel, have to move the Rath Yatra card, have to buy so many flowers and stuff. But this is our business. Lots of festivals. If you read the biography of Rasikananda, at the end of his life, he was listing off all the festivals he had created and he had done. This is my life. Maybe I've been successful. I've done all these festivals, listing off all these places. That's our business. We make festivals so that everybody can participate. We have to go out to the people. They're not so much inclined. They'll go, for mundane entertainment, they'll go to great endeavor. When we go to Sankirtan in a rock festival, people are coming from all over the country, just to hear, just for intoxication and an atmosphere where everybody's into the same thing in the same age for 2 or 3 days. So we need to make that where there's an atmosphere where there's just Hare Krishna, there's just kirtan, there's just prasadam, there's just devotees, there's just, everything going on all at once. The Festival of India, so many displays, so many things for people to do. So they can just hang around and they don't get, bothered by any particular person. They just get absorbed in the sound vibration. So we just keep it up. So I was going to say, I've been in New York by somebody's arrangement 1 year. I never had intention for that. But I did have desire previously. I'd like to help out there or something, but I don't know what I can do. But I just came here and it just happened. So I beg forgiveness from the devotees and thank everybody for tolerating, helping me stay alive. And I'll be leaving tomorrow morning. But because the world is opening up and now we can go places and countries, devotees haven't had any visitors for 3 years. So it's time to move. All right, so what are your comments or questions? Welcome. Hari, this is Hari, right? From New Vrindavan? Yeah. Okay, and where's Govinda? All right, so, and I just always remember one time Prabhupada, he would stay in Los Angeles for a couple months in the winter. Vedanta said most of the things Prabhupada said about Los Angeles was he liked the weather. So, and he had a first class quarters and he could really concentrate on translating. So he was leaving early in the morning. And of course, when Prabhupada was there, Bhagavatam class was pretty well attended, at least by the residents. And not everybody normally can make it across that street. They call it the widest street in the world. They live across the street, but they can't get across to the Bhagavatam class. So he was leaving and Prabhupada liked to leave early, So they went and said, Prabhupada, we have to leave. And he said, no, I will give class. So Khandra was like, Prabhupada, So he came down and he quickly greeted the deities. And then he said, so I'm leaving for Hawaii. He said, I'll be back in a few days. And then he said, I just want to tell everybody to come to the Bhagavatam class every day. And then he said, who's giving class? And when I'm gone, and he said, Karandra. He said, okay, good. And then he left. Then he didn't come back, and somebody wrote, Prabhupada, you said you were coming back in a few days. He said, you don't know the day of Brahma. Because he went to India, he was gone for a year practically. So, all right, so comments or questions, or can finish up. Very nice. Arjunananda is not here to hear it, but that he's collected a pretty good group to come all together for a few days. Krishna arranges a place and everything. Very merciful. Anybody? Gopal always says.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. We just want to know if you'll be back in a few days.
Huh?
We want to know if you'll be back in a few days. If you'll be back in a few days. We want to know if you'll be back in a few days.
Yeah, I'll be back in a few lifetimes. We can't predict, we're getting to the point where we really believe that we could die any minute. Been saying it for 50 years, but starting to really believe it, especially when I hear about conditions of different devotees to my age or younger. But nobody knows how the wind will blow. Right? All right. But I'd like to come back and see this place filled up again with so many bunk beds. You're getting ready for, right? That's good. When you're ready, when Danavir started the Bhakti program, LA had a lot of devotees and a lot of people dropping by all the time. So many times he would see that somebody would come at lunchtime and they'd say, there's nothing for you. And so he got upset about that. And he complained to Karandar, and Karandar said, okay, well, you take care of him. So he gave him a room, and he went out and he bought a few sleeping bags and he got everything ready. And he was at the time, I think, selling incense or something. So he stopped that. Then, nobody came sometimes. I said, why don't you go out and do something, And he said, no. So he just was ready. And then when somebody came, he'd take them in the Bhakti program and give them their Bhakti this and that. And then it became a huge thing, So many devotees joined and got trained up, and then he went to other countries. So, because he was concerned, the guests are coming. Nobody's greeting them at the door, nobody's paying any attention to. So we're trying to do that now. We got Kitchery, things are coming up, quite nice. Of course, we want to feed the world, but Prabhupada said in Melbourne, he said, we can feed the whole city. And the reporter said, there was a small house, a few devotees. How can you do that? Prabhupada said, you bring them, we'll show you. Somehow or other, we can handle whoever comes. Ramroy, how many were living here when you first came? Huh? Yeah. And more were living at Henry Street, right? Or 55th. A little tiny house. That was like that everywhere. And Chopati, they're jammed in there somewhere. I was saying that the brahmacharis and Chopatis sleep on a little straw mat, right? I was telling him in Africa all that they had in the ashram these mattresses like this big, because mattresses are just foam, horrible things. Baladev was there. He said, these guys sleep on a straw mat, You're Africans, you gotta have a big bed, unclean thing. So we have to be very careful. But the real tapasya is chanting, following the principles, and going out to preach in Kali Yuga. Just get out there, wear tilak whenever you go out so people can see. They think of Krishna when they see tilak. Even they don't know what it is, subconsciously. That's why some demons get really scared. And they see. Nowadays, nobody ever asked me for so many years, what's that? But in the early days, everybody, what's that? The bird drop on you, what is that? Some people were curious. Some people just see it. You go door to door and slam the door, because they're reminded of Krishna. In Africa also, people get scared sometimes. They think that tilak is. But one man we met, he was a #1 Supreme Court judge, and he's very religious, Roman Catholic. And he said, "What is that?" He said, "We have that too. You know, in one of their tribal cultures, they had almost looked the same." So he liked it. He said, "I like Gandhi." You know. So, but anyway, just little things, you know, they affect people. Every little thing we do, and feed anybody or chant the holy name, we should give them even a pamphlet. We're saying that Mahotsaha, now the biggest book distributor, he started out getting an unchanting book. So the Harinam party got an unchanting book. So, but, you know, no result is big or small in the long run because we're pleasing Krishna. So thank you all very much. Thank you, Radhesham. You're going up separately or what? Huh? Yeah. But they left already, right? You're going to hitchhike over? They have a car for you. Thank you for coming. It's a big surprise. Radhesham is probably doesn't like to be praised, but anyway, he's worthy of something, you know, we can't understand. Because it's not, we find it a lot in our movement, but still, it's very hard to find a combination, this is even in scripture, of humility and opulences. Most people that have opulences they're not humble. But devotees are humble even though they have opulence. The more they get, the more they're humble. So we have a lot of opulent people here, and because they're humble, and they know they depend on Krishna. Okay, I see the clock. Anything more anybody wants to say? It's only 8:50. If you get early, do you get a bonus if you stop early? Jimmy, any question today?
Actually, Maharaj, I was trying to think. I was clocked out for the first part, but I felt like you made a really good point. You mentioned two things early on in your talk about chanting, and also there's something else. So I was just sitting there in my mind. I was like, wow, you know, I want to ask this, but so I was wondering, Maharaj, if you could just mention just something you mentioned earlier on in the lecture about chanting, because I thought it was I really liked it, but I forgot it. So I just remembered that I liked it.
Can anybody follow? You know, this sound system is really bad here. I don't know if it can understand me either because it echoes and it's a little bit too loud, you know. The speaker's up a little too loud. So if you speak a little fast or loud.
So Maharaj, I was clocked out for the first part of the lecture, but I remember that you made the point that I really liked. I just remember that I really liked it. Something about chanting and being in association, not being alone. So I was wondering if you could mention that again.
Yeah, it's just anything, you know, anything anybody wants to do, they like to have association. That's why they have clubs. Hunting club, fishing club, fighting club, you know, they have clubs for everything. So you can get together. And like many houses we go to, they have these jogging machine or something. And it's a coat rack, you know. the jackets are hanging on it or it's folded. They hardly ever use it, most people. Because by yourself, it's just, but if there's a group doing it, you get caught up, So if we're chanting with devotees, it's much easier. Everything, if we go to a class like in Chopati where there's 1,000 devotees in there, so, everybody gets a little bit alert, in the atmosphere. And that's why people like to go to the cinema. When they first came out with the video movies, they thought the cinema house would be finished. Nobody will ever, why would they pay money when they can watch it at home? And for a little while it went down, then it got bigger than ever. Because it's very frustrating to sit, even with you have one of these, sitting home all alone. But if you go or you go to the football game, where there's 60,000 people, all, it's more exciting. So that it's just a natural principle. So that's why we want more and more devotees. It makes it more blissful, right? And come, let's join us. The more that join, the more nice it is. You get enlivened by everybody. The energy increases. And people notice it more, Like when we go out, if we have a big party, people notice it much more than just one person. But even one person has effect. The first Harinama I saw was one devotee. And I was convinced by that. This is what I'm looking for. Because I was looking desperately, but I didn't know what I was looking for. And I saw that devotee, and then somehow I knew this is it. Because we'd been hearing the George Harrison, Hare Krishna, Hare, but didn't know exactly what's going on. And then later in the day, I saw another different devotee by himself chanting. Then I was super convinced. So, but a big group attracts more people, because people are so bewildered and caught up in what they're doing, That's why we like to have a nice group and everybody looks nice and nice sound system and everything, It's all very important. So that people can hear nicely. And so, when you chant in the temple room, it's nice, right? You get enlivened. And in the kirtan, you can do kirtan by yourself, but you have to really have a taste for the holy name to keep going for very long. But in a group, you'll get swept away, So everybody, and same thing, class, if there's many people in the class, we get, energized. Okay? It's sadhu sangha, sarva shastra koi. All the scriptures say. Lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. So there's a big sadhu sangha festival now in Utah, starting today, but tonight, with kirtan, with, Govinda Maharaj, Sachinandan Swami, Indraduna Maharaj, Badahari, a few others at the temple there in Utah. So they're all excited. All the devotees there are excited. Devotees all coming together. A lot of devotees went from New York. The family where you're going, their place, they all went. So devotees come from all over the world, It's not like when I joined, nobody went anywhere. Sometimes people didn't even know there was any other temples. There was no communication. All right. So, and he brings them in, a lot of people that come because he invites them from the Harinam, from book distribution. I was in New York for the first Ratha Yatra, and Jayananda was there. He was already wheelchair. And, so he was just calling up people to invite him to the temple. So at the Sunday feast, I was asking people, why did you come? And almost everybody said, because Jayananda asked me. Couldn't resist it. And that was by phone, just calling up people. So, invite people, come. Come to the Rath Yatra. Many people come there and they never forget it, even they just accidentally, because it's a public place. And Jayananda told us that Prabhupada told him, anyone just sees the Rath Yatra, then at the end of their life, when their whole life is going by really fast, when they get to the Rath Yatra, they'll stop. That was a big inspiration for him to make more Rath Yatras. So many people just, without knowing anything, they just happen to walk, and they just follow it. So many people benefit by that. And that one, I think it was New York. There's the Rath Yatra, there's hundreds of devotees chanting Hare Krishna. And one couple asked me, what religion is this? I said, it's Hare Krishna. Oh, okay. So it's amazing how many people don't know about Hare Krishna. Sometimes devotees are thinking everybody's against us. No, most people don't know. The majority of people, even they've seen the devotees, they've seen that they didn't register. They have to be again and again because other things are just hammering away at them. I know in Japan, whenever somebody comes out with some new product, they advertise it everywhere. You get off the train, you get on the train, there it is. You get off the trains, first thing you see, you walk out in the street, first thing you see, and I imagine the television, everything is just blasted with this same product. So people buy it because their mind gets totally absorbed in it. So we want them to see devotees everywhere else. Then they think there's New Orleans one to be. People are saying there's hundreds of you here in New Orleans. There was only 10. But there was a few at the airport, there was a few at the French Quarter, and there was a few, the shopping mall. And the people would go around and they'd see the devotee. They didn't know it was the same devotee. And they think there's so many Hare Krishna. But we want it to be really that there is so many. New York should have, unlimited numbers of parties out chanting. Such a huge place. We want to make it New York Harinam Sadhu Sangha, devotees come from all over. For 2 weeks or something where you have 20 parties going on. Right? And walking all over the city. It'll get, all the news stations will be there. They will blow their mind. Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Sadhu Sangha ki jai. Yeah. That's why we say Vanchakalpatrubhyas cha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namaha. When I see these pictures, I sometimes don't believe it's me. No, that's you. It's not. Maybe 35 or so. Well, Radhanath